Do you remember a time when kids could spend hours riding their bikes without a single worry from their parents? Or when wearing a seatbelt was more of a casual suggestion rather than a strict rule? Growing up in the 1970s was an entirely different experience, a world without smartphones, constant parental supervision, or the concept of helicopter parenting. Children had the freedom to roam, explore, and entertain themselves without restrictions. Television shows aired on strict schedules rather than being available on demand, and life just seemed more laid back. However, as time moved forward, many of these practices gradually faded away, replaced by new safety regulations and evolving societal norms. So, what were some of the things 70s kids experienced that today's children may never understand? Let's take a nostalgic trip back in time and revisit those cherished moments. Back in the day, prank calls were the ultimate source of entertainment before caller ID changed everything. Do you recall the excitement of huddling around a landline phone with your friends, giggling uncontrollably as you dialed a random number? The classic, "Is your refrigerator running?" was a go-to prank, providing endless amusement. There were no smartphones to ruin the surprise, and no names flashing on the screen to give away the caller's identity. The thrill came from the possibility of being caught, making every prank call an adventure. Today, with advanced technology and caller identification, this innocent pastime has all but vanished. It's hard to imagine a time when deceiving someone over the phone was a weekend highlight, but for 70s kids, it was just another day of fun. The 1970s also witnessed the golden age of toilet papering, an art form in its own right. Armed with rolls of toilet paper, kids would stealthily sneak out at night and drape trees and rooftops in white streamers, leaving a scene of harmless mischief in their wake. The next morning, the aftermath looked like an abstract masterpiece. But in today's world, this kind of fun is nearly impossible. Security cameras, doorbell surveillance, and strict neighborhood rules have put an end to such rebellious traditions. What was once a favorite prank has now been replaced by social media stunts, arguably less creative and far less thrilling. Wouldn't you agree? After school in the 1970s meant one thing: grabbing your bike and setting off on an unplanned journey around the neighborhood. There was no need for a destination, you just pedaled alongside friends until the streetlight signaled it was time to head home. There were no GPS tracking apps, no constant parental check-ins, just pure, unfiltered freedom. Unfortunately, today's children rarely experience this kind of independence. With modern technology and heightened parental caution, carefree after-school bike rides have become a relic of the past, replaced by structured activities and digital entertainment. The great outdoors was the ultimate playground for 70s kids. There was no need for scheduled playdates or fancy gadgets, imagination ruled the day. From sunrise to sunset, children would run, climb, and invent their own games, fully immersed in nature. Today, childhood looks very different. Structured activities, supervised outings, and screen-based entertainment have largely taken over, limiting the spontaneous, unrestrained adventures that once defined growing up. The ability to roam freely, get dirty, and explore the world without constraints has faded into distant memories. Bike riding in the 1970s was about more than just transportation, it symbolized ultimate freedom. And believe it or not, helmets weren't even a thought. The sensation of the wind whipping through your hair and the excitement of venturing far from home without adult supervision made biking an exhilarating experience. No GPS tracking, no constant communication, just adventure. Fast forward to today, and biking has transformed into a heavily supervised activity. With helmets, knee pads, and parents tracking every move, the spontaneous, carefree spirit of cycling has all but disappeared. Parenting in the 70s was far less scrutinized. If a child misbehaved, it was simply chalked up to part of growing up. There wasn't an immediate rush to blame the parents for every little mistake. Kids were expected to learn responsibility through experience. Fast forward to today, and the narrative has shifted. Parenting is often judged under a microscope, and any misstep by a child is frequently seen as a reflection of parental failure. With the rise of helicopter parenting and increased societal pressure, the days of laid-back child-rearing seem like a distant memory. Trampolines were a dream come true for kids in the 70s, but there was one catch: no safety nets. That's right, children would bounce, flip, and sometimes even fall off the trampoline, but that was part of the fun. Sure, there were a few bumps and bruises along the way, but the thrill made it all worth it. Nowadays, trampolines come with protective nets, padding, and multiple safety features. While these improvements have made trampolining safer, they have also taken away a bit of the excitement that made it so special back in the day. Summer camp in the 1970s was all about adventure, not paperwork. Parents signed a couple of forms, packed a bag, and sent their kids off for an unforgettable experience. No long medical checklists, no extensive waivers, just pure summer fun. Compare that to today, where attending camp involves an overwhelming amount of documentation. While these added precautions are meant for safety, they undeniably take away from the simplicity of those golden summer days. Back then, choosing a school was a straightforward process. You attended the one closest to your home. There was no frantic research, no extensive applications, and no stress about getting into the best school. Kids went to school with their neighbors, creating strong community bonds. Today, parents agonize over finding the right school, with many going to great lengths to ensure their child gets the best education possible. While there's value in choice, there's something to be said for the simpler approach of the past. Misbehaving on the school bus in the 70s came with clear consequences. The bus driver wasn't expected to be a disciplinarian, the responsibility fell on the child. If you acted out, you faced detention or, in extreme cases, lost bus privileges. Today, the burden of managing behavior often falls on the bus driver, and there's a noticeable shift in accountability. Back then, it was clear that kids were responsible for their actions, reinforcing the idea of learning from mistakes. Lunchtime in the 1970s had a unique charm, thanks to metal lunch pails. Decorated with superheroes, cartoons, and beloved TV shows, these sturdy containers made lunchtime something to look forward to. Inside, kids found classic packed lunches, sandwiches, fruit, and the occasional sweet treat. Today, insulated lunch bags have replaced the iconic metal pails. While modern lunchboxes may keep food fresher, they lack the nostalgic charm of the designs that once made lunchtime an exciting part of the day. The 1970s was a time of unstructured fun, independence, and a hands-off approach to parenting that let kids learn through experience. While today's world is undoubtedly safer, it's also more restricted, with fewer opportunities for spontaneous adventure. What do you think? Are kids today missing out, or have things simply changed for the better? There's something undeniably nostalgic about those old metal lunch pails. They weren't just containers for food, they were a statement, a reflection of personality, and a small but cherished part of childhood. Whether decorated with superheroes, cartoon characters, or popular TV shows, these pails were a daily companion for school kids. The clink of the metal, the smell of a packed lunch, and the excitement of uncovering what was inside made lunchtime an experience in itself. In the 1970s, getting into trouble at school meant more than just dealing with teachers, it meant answering to your parents when you got home. The thought of their disappointment was often a punishment in itself. Teachers expected parents to enforce discipline at home, ensuring their children learned from their mistakes. Today, schools and parents tend to work together when it comes to discipline, but back then, it was entirely up to the parents to set things straight. Earning an F on a report card in the 70s was a serious issue. It wasn't something brushed off or excused easily. Parents would sit their children down for a heartfelt conversation about the importance of education, hard work, and doing one's best. More than just a discussion about grades, these talks instilled a strong work ethic and the value of perseverance. While modern parents may collaborate with teachers to find solutions, in the 70s, it was mostly up to the child to turn things around. Sports were a massive part of childhood in the 70s. Whether it was joining a school team, playing in local leagues, or simply organizing impromptu games with friends, kids were always outside running, kicking, and throwing. The focus wasn't on strict schedules or intense training, it was about having fun, learning teamwork, and staying active. Today's youth sports often come with a level of structure and pressure that wasn't present back then, but in the 70s, all that mattered was getting outside and enjoying the game. Back in the 70s, family vacations were all about embracing the great outdoors. Whether it was a trip to a national park, a weekend spent camping, or a relaxing retreat by the lake, families sought adventure in nature. Kids would spend their days fishing, swimming, and roasting marshmallows around the campfire while parents relished the peaceful escape. These trips weren't just about sightseeing, they were about bonding, making memories, and experiencing life away from the distractions of daily routines. Birthdays in the 1970s were pure magic. They were filled with laughter, games, and a whole lot of excitement. Themed parties were a big hit, with kids dressing up as their favorite TV characters, clowns, or superheroes. Classic party games like musical chairs and pin the tail on the donkey kept the fun going, and no celebration was complete without a homemade cake baked with love. Beyond the decorations and treats, these parties were about cherishing moments with family and friends, making each birthday an unforgettable experience. For kids in the 70s, getting a few bumps and bruises was just part of growing up. Climbing trees, riding bikes, and running through the neighborhood often led to scraped knees and minor cuts, but that didn't stop anyone. Parents didn't panic over every little injury. A quick rinse, a bandage, and kids were right back to their adventures. These minor mishaps weren't seen as dangers but rather as learning experiences, helping children build resilience and confidence. If there was one thing every kid looked forward to in the 70s, it was Saturday morning cartoons. Shows like Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones, and Tom and Jerry were the highlights of the weekend. Kids would jump out of bed early, pour themselves a bowl of cereal, and settle in front of the TV for hours of animated entertainment. These cartoons were more than just shows, they were a weekly ritual that brought joy and laughter before another school week began. Friendship in the 70s wasn't limited to texts or social media, it was about real-life adventures. Whether it was riding bikes, building forts, or playing board games, kids made the most of every moment with their friends. There were no scheduled playdates or digital distractions, just spontaneous fun. A simple afternoon spent together could turn into a lifelong memory, strengthening bonds in a way that felt effortless and natural. If you were a teenager in the 70s, chances are you had a record collection you were proud of. Music wasn't just something to listen to, it was a lifestyle. From rock to disco, teens spent hours playing their favorite albums, swapping records with friends, and discussing the latest hits. Bands like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin weren't just musicians, they were icons, shaping the cultural fabric of an entire generation. Vinyl wasn't just about sound, it was about identity, passion, and connection. A sleepover in the 70s was an exciting event filled with laughter and late-night fun. Kids would bring their sleeping bags, their favorite stuffed animals, and enough energy to last way past bedtime. The night would be spent watching movies, sharing ghost stories, and giggling over inside jokes. Sleepovers weren't just about staying up late, they were about building friendships, sharing secrets, and creating memories that would be cherished for years. In the 1970s, family dinners were more than just meals, they were moments of connection. Without the distractions of smartphones or television, families would sit together, talk about their day, and genuinely listen to one another. Whether discussing school, work, or the latest news, these dinners provided a sense of unity and belonging. The tradition of gathering around the table each evening reinforced strong family bonds that lasted a lifetime. Household chores in the 70s weren't just about keeping things tidy, they were a way to teach responsibility. Washing dishes after dinner wasn't optional, it was expected. Kids would scrub plates, rinse glasses, and dry silverware, often alongside their siblings. What seemed like a simple task was actually an important lesson in teamwork, discipline, and contributing to the household. And let's not forget the unexpected fun, singing along to the radio, joking with family, and making the most of the moment. Going to the grocery store in the 70s wasn't just an errand, it was an event. Families would pile into the car, head to the supermarket, and roam the aisles together. Kids helped pick out their favorite cereal, begged for a special treat, and eagerly watched as their parents tallied up the bill at the register. Unlike today's quick online orders or rushed shopping trips, grocery shopping back then was an experience that involved everyone, turning a simple task into a shared family tradition. Believe it or not, grocery shopping in the 1970s was more than just a routine errand, it was a fun family adventure. Parents and children would head to the store together, turning an ordinary chore into an enjoyable outing. Kids eagerly looked forward to picking out their favorite snacks or helping their parents choose household essentials. The thrill of pushing the shopping cart, sometimes pretending it was a race car, added to the excitement. With free samples and live demonstrations throughout the store, there was always something to see or taste, making grocery day something the whole family could look forward to. For kids in the 70s, behaving well during a grocery trip often led to a small but meaningful reward. As a token of appreciation for good manners and patience, parents would let their children pick out a treat from the shelves. Whether it was a candy bar, a favorite snack, or even a small toy, this little gesture made kids feel independent and responsible. Beyond being a simple incentive, it was also a lesson in good behavior, encouraging children to be mindful of their actions while making shopping a more enjoyable experience for everyone. The 1970s were a time when small indulgences didn't come with a hefty price tag. Snacks and treats were widely available at reasonable prices, making it easy for parents to surprise their kids with a little something special. Whether it was chips, cookies, or candy, the shelves were stocked with a variety of affordable delights. This meant that even families on a budget could enjoy occasional treats without worrying about overspending. It was a time when simple pleasures were within reach for nearly everyone, adding a touch of joy to everyday life. If you grew up in the 70s, chances are you have memories of riding in a station wagon. These iconic family cars were known for their spacious interiors, making them perfect for road trips, grocery runs, and everyday adventures. With large back seats and rear-facing third rows, there was always plenty of room for siblings, friends, and even the family pet. Station wagons were more than just a means of transportation, they were rolling living rooms where families bonded on the road, creating memories that would last a lifetime. Road trips in the 70s weren't complete without an assortment of snacks. Parents, especially dads, were known to reach for a favorite treat while driving, making snack breaks a cherished tradition. Whether it was stopping at a gas station to grab a quick bite or passing around candy in the car, these small moments added extra fun to the journey. A road trip wasn't just about reaching the destination, it was about the laughter, the shared treats, and the little joys along the way that made the experience unforgettable. In the 1970s, kids dressed for adventure. Whether biking, skateboarding, or simply running around outside, the go-to outfit consisted of jeans, t-shirts, and sneakers. Loose-fitting clothes allowed them to move freely, making it easy to climb, jump, and play without restriction. Helmets and protective gear weren't common yet, so it was all about the feeling of wind in their hair and the thrill of the open road. Fashion wasn't about trends, it was about practicality, comfort, and the freedom to explore the world without limits. Forts were sacred spaces for kids in the 70s. Whether constructed indoors with blankets and cushions or outdoors using sticks and leaves, these makeshift hideaways became a world of their own. Inside, children would let their imaginations run wild, turning forts into pirate ships, secret headquarters, or castles. These cozy spaces provided a sense of independence, a place to plan adventures, share secrets, or simply escape into a world of creativity. The joy of building and inhabiting these forts created lasting childhood memories that still bring a sense of nostalgia today. For kids in the 70s, the arrival of the Sears Christmas catalog was pure magic. This thick, glossy book was filled with pages of toys, games, and holiday treasures, making it the ultimate wish list guide. Families would gather around, flipping through the catalog, excitedly circling their most wanted gifts. The anticipation of Christmas morning was heightened by imagining which items might appear under the tree. From dolls to board games, the catalog sparked joy, making the holiday season feel even more special. Children are shaped by the times they grow up in, and the 1970s offered a unique and simple way of life. It was an era of outdoor play, strong family bonds, and small yet meaningful joys. However, today's children are growing up in a world of technological advancements, global connectivity, and new opportunities for self-expression. While the past and present each have their own unique benefits, the key is finding balance, blending real-world experiences with the advantages of modern digital life. So, what do you think? Were the 70s a better time to be a kid? If given the choice, which era would you want to grow up in? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing content. We'll see you in the next video.